Spiritual obsession is a topic that sparks curiosity and concern in many people. Although it's a sensitive and often controversial topic, it's important to understand the signs that may indicate the presence of negative influences in our lives. This article presents 9 indicators that deserve attention and reflection. What are spiritual obsessors? Before we explore the signs, it's essential to understand the concept of spiritual obsession. From a spiritualist perspective, obsessors are disembodied spirits who, for various reasons, remain connected to the material plane and exert influence over incarnate people. This influence can manifest itself in different ways, from persistent negative thoughts to more drastic behavioral changes. It's important to emphasize that not all of life's problems are the result of spiritual obsession. Often, psychological, medical, or social issues can present similar symptoms. Therefore, it's always recommended to seek appropriate professional help when necessary. Sudden personality changes. 1 of the most obvious signs of possible obsessive interference is sudden and unexplained changes in personality. The person may exhibit completely different behaviors than usual, as if they were another person. These changes can include changes in tone of voice, gestures, preferences, and even the way they express themselves. For example, a naturally calm person might become extremely aggressive for no apparent reason, or someone who was always optimistic might sink into a deep and persistent sadness. These changes are different from the normal mood swings we all experience, being more intense and long-lasting. Incessant negative thoughts. Another important indicator is the constant presence of destructive, pessimistic, or self-deprecating thoughts. These thoughts seem to be outside the person's control, arising involuntarily and persistently. They may include thoughts of failure, despair, unjustified anger, or even thoughts of self-harm. What sets these thoughts apart from normal mental processes is their obsessive nature and the person's difficulty controlling them or directing them towards something more positive. It's as if there's an inner voice constantly whispering negativity, creating a vicious cycle of anguish and suffering. Sleep disorders and recurrent nightmares, sleep-related problems, can also be signs of obsessive interference. This includes persistent insomnia, restless sleep, frequent waking in the middle of the night for no apparent reason, or feeling tired even after long hours of rest. Recurring nightmares are particularly significant, especially when they feature similar themes or recurring threatening figures. Some people report sensations of a presence in the room, difficulty falling asleep due to unexplained fears, or the feeling that someone is watching them during their sleep. Unexplained addictions and compulsions. Sudden development of addictions or the worsening of existing compulsions may indicate obsessive influence. This can manifest itself through excessive consumption of alcohol, drugs, food, gambling, or compulsive behaviors such as uncontrolled shopping or excessive dependence on technology. What makes these behaviors suspicious is their impulsive nature and the person's difficulty in controlling them, even when they recognize the harm they cause. It's as if an external force were driving these actions, independent of the person's conscious will. Social isolation and estrangement from loved ones. People under obsessive influence often isolate themselves from family and friends. This withdrawal can be gradual or sudden, but it is usually accompanied by vague justifications or unexplained conflicts with those close to them. Isolation serves as a mechanism that facilitates negative influence, as it reduces the emotional and spiritual support that healthy relationships provide. The person may begin to unjustifiably distrust everyone around them or simply lose interest in maintaining relationships. Unexplained physical sensations. Physical symptoms with no apparent medical cause can also be indicators of obsession. These can include persistent headaches, a feeling of heaviness in the shoulders or chest, sudden chills or hot flashes, tingling in parts of the body, or the sensation of someone touching you when no one is around, Some people report feeling like they're carrying extra weight or as if something is stuck to their back. It's important to have these symptoms evaluated medically first to rule out physical causes. Loss of interest in spiritual or religious activities, a particularly significant sign is a sudden withdrawal from spiritual or religious practices that previously brought comfort and peace. The person may develop an inexplicable aversion to prayer, meditation, attending temples or churches, or even reading sacred texts. This distancing is not the result of conscious reflection on beliefs, but rather an inexplicable and uncomfortable resistance to anything related to the sacred or spiritual development. Constant conflicts and toxic relationships. People under obsessive influence often find themselves embroiled in unnecessary conflicts and attract destructive relationships. There may be a tendency to argue over trivial matters, misinterpret others' intentions, or engage with people who display harmful behavior. These patterns create an environment of constant tension and negativity, fueling a vicious cycle that strengthens the obsessive influence and drives positive energies from a person's life. Impaired intuition and self-destructive decisions. Finally, a key sign is the loss of the ability to make wise and constructive decisions. The person may repeatedly make choices that sabotage their own well-being, career, relationships, or health, even when they intellectually recognize that these decisions are harmful. Intuition, which normally guides us toward what's best for us, seems to be stuck or directed toward destructive paths. It's as if there's an internal force working against a person's best interests. What to do when faced with these signs? Recognizing these signs is the first step towards seeking appropriate help. It's crucial to maintain balance and avoid panic, as fear and despair can worsen the situation. Some suggestions include seek professional support, consult doctors, psychologists, or psychiatrists to rule out physical or mental causes of your symptoms. Strengthen your spirituality. Regardless of your religion or belief, cultivate practices that raise your vibration, such as prayer, meditation, reading inspirational texts, or participating in spiritual groups. Take care of the environment. Keep your home clean, organized, and filled with positive energy. This may include using incense, crystals, plants, or other elements that bring harmony to the environment. Cultivate healthy relationships. Surround yourself with positive people who offer genuine emotional and spiritual support. Practice self-care. Maintain healthy eating habits, exercise, and get adequate rest. Final considerations. It's important to remember that spiritual obsession is just one possible explanation for the symptoms described. Medical, psychological, or social issues can also cause similar manifestations. Ideally, a balanced approach should always be sought, considering both the spiritual and scientific aspects of the situation. Recovering from a potential obsessive influence is a gradual process that requires patience, persistence, and often specialized professional help. The most important thing is to not lose hope and remember that there is always the possibility of liberation and renewal. Regardless of the severity of the situation, when you recognize these signs in yourself or in people close to you, the first step is to seek understanding and appropriate support, always maintaining an attitude of faith and determination to overcome challenges and regain balance and inner peace.